All right, so yeah, it's a fantastic valid point. Now this is a little bit faded with the sunshine, but this is in a car park. Fair enough, I'm on private land now, right? But these have to be still monitored when you're actually driving in. You have to drive with care. Doesn't matter, like, you know, you're not allowed to sort of like take your eye off the road. Now you're supposed to be able to read all of this and agree that you've gone in a contract before you park, remember. I mean, you know, I can actually read up at the top the bigger rating, £70 charge notice if you go over 3 hours. You're not allowed to return within the hour. But then look at the actual small rating at the bottom. No, I can hardly read that standing here. So this is the point that I'm making. So, you know, this is the absolute whole point. You cannot legally take your eyes off driving a car. You are the one that is in charge of a motorized vehicle. So legally, I know, like, we're in the public, so it is legal. You can't read a notice like that and agree to be held under the terms while you're actually trying to be safe. All right, that is the whole point that I'm making under the Road Traffic Act and the Highway Code. All right, so watch the video from there. Hey, how are you doing? Just need to get out of this private car park that is managed by a private car parking company. I've actually done quite a few videos over the last week or two, but I've never put them up. You know, sometimes I get maybe a little bit close to what is true, and then you think, all right, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. I've just been filming one of these signs for the signposts for this car park, this particular car park. So it's on the front of this video. So last night we had our private group meeting, and I was just going over this research that I've been doing for a while, all on, well, I combined the GDPR with the Road Traffic Act, including the Highway Code. This part of the road here, I am sure, is public. This is a public road. You're coming down because there's like factories there, then there's shops there, but in the middle of it, pretty sure this is a public road. So you would be expected, to know that the Road Traffic Act and Highway Code as you're driving along there, and then you're getting into the actual car park. Then you cannot read the signs at all before you accept a contract. You cannot. Right now, whoops, hang on, get over these wobbly bits here. There we go. So you have to read all of that print, that tiny print, while you are driving. You're not, right, they actually say that as soon as you park, then you've accepted the terms and conditions. However, if you're driving a motorized vehicle, it doesn't matter how fast or slow it's going, you cannot take your eyes off where you are going safely. So you cannot read all of that small print and agree to be contracted to all of that small print while you are actually driving. It's an impossibility. So they say as soon as you've stopped, then you've agreed to the contract. Well, that's an impossibility, because you cannot get out to read the actual small print of the contract, right, until you've stopped. So that in their view, you've already accepted it. This is a breach. This is completely wrong. All right. So this is where all of these private car parking charges are coming down, and people still call me, well, not call me, but email me, message me and say, have a fine, have a fine. It's not a fine. It's a private company doing a breach of contract charge to you. So then when they hand it over to the debt collectors, on a lot of the ones that I've dealt with, it was DCBL, there is absolutely zero legitimate interest. You know, you have no legitimate interest to pass it on to a debt collector, and the debt collectors have got no legitimate interest. They will not have done an LIA at all, a legitimate interest assessment, to actually see if there was a sufficient legitimate interest for them, i.e. 100% proof of the debt. Well, that's exactly the same as the Leighton versus Bristow and Souter case. A letter from what is an alleged debtor, say the council in that particular case, or right, some private car parking company who said you were in there and you accepted a contract. It's not enough. It needs to be proof, So it would, the only proof you would have for that debt would be to actually have it on a signed contract with wet ink signature or a court order, and there is neither. So there's zero legitimate interest. Now obviously there's a massive breakdown on the actual research that I've done that shows that, but the easy description is exactly that. So they are breaching GDPR under the legitimate interest assessment and also the data protection impact assessment as well, and neither of them will have been done by the car park company or by the debt collector either, right? So that is a breach, and it's a stated breach. It's a guidance under the ICO. They cannot deny it, and if they say, well, we didn't know, ignorance is no defense of the law, right? So there's a massive breach under GDPR already. So then the contract simply cannot stand, and it cannot stand there because they cannot like enforce those contracts upon you, because you have to actually act in an illegal way, i.e. you have to break the law or the Road Traffic Act, whatever you want to call it, but let's let go in like simplistic terms so that everyone can comprehend. You cannot break the law to enforce a law, right? That is even against equity as well, which is who wants equity must come in clean hands. All right, it's not an equitable manner. Everything is against these charges that these companies are putting on. Everything. If you actually use a system that I have created, and I've created a method of doing it, but by using GDPR, the Road Traffic Act, the Highway Code, and also actually equity, okay? So I'm using all of that, which already exists. I didn't invent any of that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I just put together a method where you can actually hammer them utterly and completely. Hang on, I just have to go in this little dodgy little turn. There we go. So I was going over this on our private group membership. Okay, if you want to get into the private group membership, then go and have a look at the link in the bio, and you can become part of our membership then, or then you can get onto our weekly meetings. Once we're on our weekly meetings, you can get into all of the classrooms for all of the knowledge share, including this one I'm going to put in. This is going to be a new classroom I'm going to create on how to how to tackle these people, these car parking companies and the debt collectors with what we call legal warfare, right? Because it's all in the public, therefore it's legal. We're using their laws, if you want to call them that, but definitely their regulations and legislation against them, all right? And we've got a few cases that are going to be happening with our members, but we just look at it, and we have it backed up by case law as well, because it's really one of those things that they try and lie to you all the time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So the debt collectors and the car parking companies, they always try to use Beavis versus Parking Eye as case law to support that they're allowed to enforce. And that is nonsense, you know, because they actually said this was a very particular case in very particular circumstances in an extremely busy shopping centre. So they wanted people to be leaving on time to bring in new customers, so that it wasn't stopping the actual, because the whole thing's based on loss. What they say is it's got to be a loss because it's a breach of contract. So they wanted new customers to come in and spend money in the shops. And this guy stayed too long according to, like, you know, the terms and conditions of the car park. So it was only when used as a deterrent. They'd never ever said that you can now enforce whatever you want, wherever you want, all right? And all you would need to be would be in a car park that was half empty, and then no way in the world would they be able to enforce that using that case law. It's nuts. It's just the usual BS by the scumbags that are trying to actually rob you, right? So that case law can be used by you to prove that they cannot randomly enforce these fees without justification, and there has to be a proven loss They wanted the car park emptying on time so that new customers could come in. Very, very busy shopping mall, so that the new customers would have the ability to spend in the shops. So there is a loss that it could possibly be proven. But either way, they said it can be used as a deterrent. If it's any other circumstance, right, you cannot use it as a deterrent. So, you know, they lie when they use that. It's the only way to put it. They're not stretching the truth. They're not doing. It's a lie, right? They are just blatant liars. All right. So, oh, traffic lights. I've never stopped here before. Anyway, so I just thought I'd show you that sign, and that's what we were actually doing. Now, there's a lot going on. I have a face-to-face meeting later this afternoon, this evening. Going for some food, have a discussion to set up the next stage of our mortgage challenge. And we're doing this mortgage challenge, and it is on GDPR, and using the research that I have been doing. Get past these cars. And yeah, so, you know, it's going to be interesting to get our next stage to go ahead. Then tomorrow morning, we're having a breakfast meeting. How posh is that? So then we're going to actually lay it out exactly what the next steps are, the paperwork are. We're going to create the paperwork and then get to our next stage of challenging these mortgages. So a lot happening. And then even very weirdly, on the Sunday morning, I have another breakfast meeting. And this one is about, again, taking a debt collector to court for breach of GDPR. So that will also prove to be very, very interesting. Now, that's already gone through the entire pre-action protocol procedures. We've done it all. So now I'm just finalizing the actual filing of the case with the guy. He obviously has to do all the work. I'm just going to give him the case laws. I'm going to give him the information, the research. Say, right, now, you know, there's everything you need. While I'm eating my toast, to actually go and create your filing against the Cabot again, right? So this week I got a letter come through, a guy showing me, and it's like really good, really, because his email said, you know, I've been getting loads of messages about me from debt collectors, which is amazing. It's fantastic. So these debt collectors are saying that I'm a liar and a scammer, and you know that. And the thing is, when I'm going up on YouTube and I'm just telling everyone and giving them all the templates for free, I'm not charging anyone, but they're saying I'm scamming them out of money. But I'd say, look, go and do these templates and go and take them, you know, stop your debts, right? Because you never borrowed the money in the first place. And they're saying, oh, it's just a scammer. Well, where does my profit come in then? It doesn't make any sense. You know, I've just stuck it all up there for free. You know, I'm not going to charge you 250, 270 or 300 pound just to do an SER for you. I'm not one of them scumbags, right, that then pay the pantaloons because other people have got the ability to read and then go and research and know what GDPR is and, like, you know, get stuck into it so you can actually find out and then mix it with other things, which I'm not going to go into right now. Oh, get round this horrible corner. Hang on, get round there. There we are. That car there just passed me. That white one going back there. It looks like it had a moustache. Looked really funny there. I don't know, maybe they designed the car like that on purpose. It looks like it's got one of them curly, you know, Royal Air Force pilots out of the Second World War moustaches. Oh, how quaint. Alright, this is a very windy road, this. It's a bit dodgy. Right in the middle of the countryside. Middle of the countryside, covered in all these farmers' fields there. Not a single plant anywhere, not a single crop anywhere. You know that, right? All the way from Newcastle. It was lovely and warm when I left this morning to go and get the bread and then go and do a bit of shopping. And then all of a sudden, the believe it or not, and it's true, the fog come rolling in on the Tyne. The fog on the Tyne. But I don't think it was all mine. Everyone was sharing it, I think. Yeah, so it went really cold with the fog on the Tyne. But you know, so I've left, you know, the city, coming into the country, and look, even there's just like empty fields. All of these fields here have got no crops in, which is a good job really, that we have now got our very own, not just our sons, but our own allotment. I've been clearing it. It is a big mess, but yeah, so we've got a lot of work on our hands with that. We will be there tomorrow afternoon and Sunday afternoon, doing a lot of work clearing it. I've just got rid of it, like an old horrible shed that was falling down. But yeah, so anyway, a lot going on all along like the GDPR route, I suppose. But it is such a huge tool and such a powerful thing to use if you study it in the correct way and use it in the correct way. And I've got a lot of information I've shared about it, and if you actually start using that information for yourself, you too can have a lot of success. But anyway, when these debt collectors that were like slagging me off and saying, oh, you know, don't listen to anything he says, blah blah blah, and then they said, but we have taken a business decision because we can't find the original contract, and we can't supply the deed of assignment, so we are closing your account. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lying or anything like that, but you're still closing the account when I said show us the original contract and the deed of assignment. We can't do that, and that guy's lying, but we're making a business decision to close the account. There you go. How good is that? So I just thinking, everybody, I don't give it a monkey's what anyone says about me, you know. I actually did go and have a look in at my give a shitometer, and it registered 0. So obviously I don't give a shit what anybody says, does, or thinks, you know. So I don't care if that's like in the truth community, you know, right? Yeah, right. Or debt collectors. So there you go. I think that's quite funny. Like saying this guy, I've got the letter up. I shared it on Facebook, and I also shared it in my private group. Obviously he's sent me it, but redacted, so there's none of his information on. But yeah, dead funny, you know. We can't. He's saying like the can't find any documents. We still should be charging you, blah 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 blah. But we're going to make a business decision and close the account. Fantastic, man. And that's what it's all about, you know. So, that's a big lump. But anyway, I just finished training this morning. Went out down the beach. Let's say it was gorgeous. It was very sunny. I mean, we were out. What time was that? It was a little bit late. I was probably after 6. But gorgeous sunshine. Went along the beach there with a little mouse, wagging his tail like mad, playing with the other dogs. And then after we finished, we went through the harbour and up into the woods as well. So I had a lovely walk this morning, and like I say, it's like getting foggy now and it's going chilly. But hopefully the sun will get back out again. And get all warmth again, because we need it for my batteries, you know. We've got our solar panels. I have to fix the ones like for the shed again, because the wind blew them off, snapped a few of the wires. Not sure how I'll have to get new wires for them, but I've got the main one, the big one, and I just need to fasten that all back up to the shed roof so that I can then get the batteries wired up again to the big panel. I mean, they were like, that was, what time is it now? It's just after 12 o'clock, and they were like over 80% when I left, you know. And that's why we use these, you know. I've got them in the garden, got them on the shed roof, and you know, it's on the electric. Even in the winter, it costs about like £2.40 a day, 50 a day, and in the summer it's about 42 pence a day is how much it costs. So it's well worth having a look at building these battery packs and getting some solar panels. You can even make them yourself, you know, as well. You don't have to go and buy them. although you can get them second hand and they work fantastic. At least I did anyway. So have a look at the GDPR stuff that we got sharing, and enjoy, and hopefully you'll have the same type of success as what a lot of our group members are having. Okay, all right, see you in a bit, take care.